All right, welcome back to round 3 here at Guardian Games, Modern Mondays on Portland paper. We've got you this round, 2 undefeated players. We're going to show you Jund versus Hardened skills. So we're going to look at 2 decks. Well, it's pretty well established in the modern metagame, though Jund's definitely been moving around in its lists. But neither deck is impacted by the Faithless Looting ban here. So we're going to look at 2 decks that I imagine we're going to see a fair presence of going forward after Friday.
And do you have a favored in this matchup that someone they think is or a deck that is going to end up coming out on top more often than not, or do you think it's a pretty fair and even matchup?
Um, hmm. I this is this is really impactful on the draw on what the players actually draw, but I think I like Jund here. Um, I could be very incorrect. Um,
It's
this is
also
not what I'm super familiar with, but I do feel like the right combination of hand hate and spot removal can really clip a Hardened Scales hand that's a little threat light.
Also worth it to note that Ben is on the metallic mimic version, it looks like, where they're shaving the steel overseer for a creature that's just going to give you your immediate value when other creatures come into play instead of it having that awkward turn where you pick up, is it going to live?
Yeah, and that's definitely relevant against Jund, especially because Jund is a good chance of just making your Steel Overseer never give you anything at all.
I feel like Ben can win this matchup if we have a hangerback walker that gets some counters on it. That's generally cards like Lingering Souls are hard for Jen to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have some modular creatures, Jen's spot removal is going to not be at the in the best spot. But yeah, I could see this going either way, but a lot of times these hardened scales decks really depend on like 1 or 2 payoffy cards, and if Aaron can take those out of the hand or just destroy them, it's going to be
Yep.
hard.
So we're gonna see an Inquisition of Kozilek from Aaron. Ben is showing us Hardened Scales, Arcbound Worker, Metallic Mimic, Relic of Progenitus. I believe that's a Horizon, a Forest, and a Pendlehaven. So again, we're looking at like just 2 threats here, and not terribly threatening ones. I think I'm taking the Hardened Scales here just to slow clock.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Take the hardened scales, your removal is going to work on the rest, especially if you're able to like tag a modular creature when there's nothing else to move it to. That's
Yeah.
going to be the game plan.
Yeah, you're just gonna bleed the value. And the point about Hangerback is a good one because often the effectiveness of a mid range deck like Jund, how effective it's going to be can maybe be correlated pretty well with the just sheer number of threats that the opponent is presenting. So anytime they're going to throw down multiple bodies, multiple things that need to be targeted with that 1-for-1 removal is going to be more of a problem for Jund.
Been respecting that Hogak is still around for at least another 4 days and playing a main deck Relic of Progenitus.
It's still here. Blackleaf Cliffs follow additional Inquisition of Kozilek. Animation module, get out of here. So yeah, animation module is one of those cards that I think people overlook more than they should. And here again, respecting the rule of just have fewer things, because animation module generating those servos is just more things for Jen to be dealing with.
Also has a hidden second mode of the proliferate type effect that if you have an infect counter, it can just activate that and eventually kill you.
Yep. It'll get there. It's happened to me. Alright, we're just going to bleed that graveyard and keep the eventual Tarmogoyfs pretty small. Also keep threatening those lands so a Ren and 6 can't be working as well. Picked up a welding jar off an ancient stirring's not really what you want, but another forest, welding jar, arcbound worker. Pass the turn. I believe we're just looking at a canopy in hand now.
And it looks like Aaron is missing green right now.
Does yeah, okay. Arcbound Ravagers showed up. Um, yeah, we haven't seen Aaron find access to green. And there goes that Verdant Catacombs. Here's a Raging Ravine, so we have green, but he's holding up everything else. Nothing proactive going on.
So yeah, Ben had a pretty good draw with that Arcbound Ravager, which is
Yes.
going to make Aaron's removal spells pretty awkward.
And
And
that are and 2 animation
oh,
modules. Okay. Here we go. Now we've got a game.
and Ben is not using the Pendlehaven to pump up any of his 1/1s, perhaps trying to keep him out of the damage mode from Cooligan's command, perhaps.
That's a very good point. Playing around Culligan's command is pretty smart there. The other thing this can do is if we do see a removal spell and some moving around of modular counters, we can get some triggers off of animation module. Though I imagine at this point it might be better just to regenerate. All right.
Got some Liliana the Veils hanging out in Aaron's hand.
I'm not sure that's what I want here at all.
Not really the best card right now.
No.
Give your opponent a token.
Yeah. It moves the counter from the Arcbound Worker to the Arcbound Ravager, and they get a servo. Not great. But it's what we have. It's going to force some actions. Edict you.
I was almost curious if that was going to be a fog effect.
The fog effect.
Just plussing Liliana to go to 4.
And force the... Yeah, so that Pendlehaven here, really doing double duty, countering Kolagon's command. Or what we see right here. So I think Ben there, really canny leaving that out.
And also removing the Hardened Scales from his graveyard in case Tarmogoyf comes down.
Nice. Ben has got the details right now. Here's another welding jar. Take out your Liliana. So yeah, this has swung pretty hard in the other direction.
It seemed Aaron stumbled on mana at a pretty pivotal turn, and then Ben drew really well there. I think we had Arcbound Ravager into 2 animation modules.
Yeah, you can't ask for more than that. I mean, I guess another Hardened Scales, but really this is very, very strong.
I kind of even think that going wide and making tokens against Jund, I might even pick that over Hardened Scales.
Actually, yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for just again taking that 1-for-1 game and just taking a completely different plan that forces Jund down a route it really doesn't want to be on.
Aaron's deep in the tank here.
I mean, his outs are limited. I see a Ren and 6 in his hand, and he scoops it up. He has had enough of this.
Yeah, those Planeswalkers, I think there's a Ren and 6 and another Liliana the Veil. It's not really doing much in the matchup.
You know, and it's worth noting that if Ben feels like his route is clear, he can be sacrificing Welding Jar to put a counter on Ravager to get a servo to sacrifice to put a counter on like that. You know, Aaron may have been at 12, but he was not at 12, and he knew it. So looking at sideboard options for both players, Ben mentioned that he doesn't quite have a complete sideboard. He's got a 14-card sideboard, which is so confident he doesn't even need the 15th slot.
Is there a Veil of Summer in there?
There is no Veil of Summer. There are 4 Nature's Claim, 3 Dismember, 3 Damping Sphere, a Torpor Orb, an Evolutionary Leap, and 2 Grafdigger's Cage. What do you like here?
I like the Leap, just a way to also continue to blank Jund's removal spells, which there's going to be a lot of, and hopefully have to either use a removal spell like Pulse or Decay on that, or generate some value from your creatures.
Yeah, I don't hate Dismember as a way to just remove threats and remove blockers, but I think it's okay here. And I'm not sure the rest is super relevant.
Yeah, I can't really think of any one threat except for Tarmogoyf that you really are going to care about, and I'm more into having more threats in my deck instead of having removal.
I like that too.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I just looked at Aaron's sideboard and I just figured out what you want the Nature's Claim for.
Oh,
So Aaron is packing 4 Leyland of the Void. I don't know if you're entirely about that in this matchup. You may bring in fewer than 4, but it does really shut down modular. It's not. This is not a matchup where you need it on turn 0. So I'm probably about bringing in maybe 2 here, and it's castable out of Jund. And if you're sitting on a position where they're about to just go absolutely ham, you could play a ley line to force them to stack their counters up, and then use a removal spell to cut it down. And so I think some smaller number of leyline here might be reasonable. Other options available for Aaron: 2 Weather the Storm, 1 Shenanigans, 1 Ghost Quarter, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Nile Spellbomb, 1 Collector Oof, a Fatal Push, a Plague Engineer, a Bloodbraid Elf, and a Grim Lavamancer.
oh, there's so many good things in there.
Yes, this is a pile of goodies. I like Ghost Quarter. Um, I like
Plague Engineer seems awesome.
Plague Engineer seems legit. I like the other Fatal Push.
Grim
Grim
Lavamancer.
Lavamancer
Yeah.
seems great. Are we on I think we are on Shenanigans here.
Yeah,
And there's
definitely.
this. I mean, it's a good thing Ben got game 1.
That's true.
Uh,
Yeah, it feels like Aaron's definitely Lily on the Veils aren't going to be great. The Ren
mm-mm.
and Sixes are pretty medium here. Sure, they can minus to kill something sometimes, but a lot of what they're killing is going to have modular, and I kind of like taking those out for some more efficient cards for removal, like the Plague Engineer. Um, but yeah, if with so many good sideboard cards, I'm not. I feel like it depends what you're taking out in your main deck. If you're going to
Yeah,
side into ley lines, because that is a really powerful effect. But you've got a lot of removal in there.
you do, you do, and yeah, maybe you don't care. It's just it's another angle. But you're right. Just the sheer quantity of relevant cards in this specific sideboard maybe makes it less likely. Um, Five Pizza commented he wouldn't bring in Clay without seeing Leyline. I think that's legitimate because not every player is going to bring in Leyline against you for the reasons just discussed. Um, Also, who would have thought it would swing on an animation module? The more I play against animation module, the more I don't ask that question. The card
uh,
is nuts.
I've definitely lost more than once to the getting additional infect counters and realizing there's nothing I can do except for draw a cryptic to bounce it.
All right.
I'm curious if Aaron is on Seasoned Pyromancer, and if so, how many are in there? Because I feel like that card's really interesting in a deck like Jund, where it adds an aspect of, like when you're sideboarding cards like Leyline in the Void, drawing them later is less bad if you could just pitch it for a 1/1 token.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really good at improving your card quality in the later game when it really matters. So here's Seasoned Pyromancer if you need a refresher on the big guy, the big little guy. He is really quite an impactful card. And I mean, if you want to, it's not exactly faithless looting. It's almost faithless looting. Loot backwards, get some tokens, just a ton of value. And also helps with that problem we were talking about sheer number of bodies coming out of Hardened Skills being a challenge to Jun's removal suite. This gives you just more bodies to help stall and block and find your answers.
Yeah, and I feel a card like that also is going to enable like Mardu to still be a deck even after losing looting, because you have a lot of one drop like hand removal or hand disruption and removal spells, and looting was more of just an additional value engine for that deck, and this does the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is one of the complaints that gets leveled against the looting banning is, but what about all those decks that were using it fairly? Why are we punishing, Mardu? Um, and Seasoned Pyromancer is an excellent way to say, well, they still get to have some of that. And so maybe the hit that Mardu takes is worth the rest of the format.
All right, looks like both players mulliganed and had turn 1 land drops.
And then we decided that Ren 6 was where it was at in this game. If you brought in the Ghost Quarter, actually.
I could see that being a play draw decision too, like Ren and 6 on the
Yes.
play matters because you can ping like the one if you being arcbound worker without it being able to move its modular around, that's
Hmm.
relevant. But if you're playing it when your opponent already has a bunch of creatures out,
Not as good. So we've got Arcbound Ravager for Ben. We're going to ping Arcbound Ravager. We're going to see a sacrificed Darksteel Citadel to make Arcbound Ravager bigger.
oh, we're going all in on this one.
Yeah. I think we knew that was the play when we cast it. Because there's... Ben thinks that his hand supports the rest of this game without that Darksteel Citadel, which seems fair enough, and especially with the Inkmoth Nexus available. Okay. We're going to regenerate. Ooh. That was a Ren and 6 activation, a Shenanigans, and a Fatal Push that took out a Darksteel Citadel, a Welding Jar, and an Arcbound Ravager. So here we are. That's 3 cards gone for Ben. And Aaron used 1 Planeswalker activation, and 1 of his cards has Dredge. So
Yep.
this is what we're seeing here, where what you think looks like a 3-for-3 exchange is really not. It is Jund squeezing out value and reusing its resources. And this is where those games swing. Because you notice Ben was setting up with this Arcbound Ravager to put together a pretty decisive Inkmoth kill. He didn't need a lot more to be putting that together.
And I just want to point out that we got a dredge from Aaron that then flipped over the peat land.
Which we can get back with the Ren and 6 to draw a card.
All the value.
Look at this.
Oh, and we got a tireless tracker for some more card draw here.
We've got Ian in the booth just chanting Jund, Jund, Jund.
Yeah, it's basically like you built your own Jason Mind Sculptor with a bunch of different cards right there.
This is just, the way this game is playing out is so glorious. Looking at Ben's hand, I'm seeing a Ravager, 2 Ballistas. Not...
We get an animate of the Inkmoth attacking Rin and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a module.
Animation module. Oh, clues.
Oh, I agree with Holefly. If Jund is king in the new meta, it will be a good meta. Like, yeah, if Jund is one of the best decks, then there's a lot of ways to interact with that.
Cycling lands. We can just keep this train going. Though I really like cycling with the canopy to get the clue token. It's just so good. Plus Ren and 6. Get my cycling land. That is some shenanigans right there. Animation module, get out of here. Clue token. Oh my god.
We need to get some sound effects for the clue tokens too. That's the thing that we should work on here.
Alright, we need sound effects for a clue token.
And Aaron's gonna have all the cards. Ben's gonna have to do some kind of combo-y kill here to...
He doesn't have the pieces. He's got a Ravager and 2 Walking Ballistas as far as I know. Yes! Hoofly is on it. I'm excited. Alright. 2 mana. Are we cracking a clue? We're cracking a clue. We're going to Ballista the Tracker in response. We're going to fetch in response. Let's stack it up.
Got a regular Sherlock Holmes in here.
We're going to get a landfall trigger. Ooh. Well, that's unfortunate.
I think we still have a clue activation on the stack as well.
We do.
Don't forget to draw your card. I think in this situation, Aaron could forget to draw the card, and he's still so far ahead that it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. Uh,
Are we forgetting? We
we're
forgot to
forgetting to
draw the
crack the
card.
clue. We're gonna cycle. Should I tell him?
Uh, we
Yeah,
could, but that's. I don't think it's
he's
not
gonna do
gonna matter.
fine. Um, cycle draw shenanigans. Seems good. Um, question: why would you trade there with a tireless tracker? Because tireless tracker is an incredible magic card that if you have a chance to destroy, you should destroy. Like, it's hard for me to consider circumstances where should I invest my resources in killing this tireless tracker? The answer isn't yes.
if if you're not going to be winning the game on the next turn, you definitely need to deal with the tireless tracker, especially when you have Rin and 6 getting you land drops every turn.
Oh, as the Jund player, no, that one I'm not sure about. Yeah, that the other side of that I'm not sure about. And so we Bloodbraid into Tarmogoyf and swing for 3. Just 4 mana, 3/2 haste, and a large Goyf. Seems fine. Citadel, Ballista on 1,
Oh, but we have Hardened Skills.
Ballista on
See?
2, Arcbound Ravager on 2. Can we piece something together here? Ben is at 14. He's not dead on board.
It's unfortunate that you're not going to be able to activate this Inkmoth Nexus on Ben's side of the table if this Ravager is going to get removed.
We're going to go get a fetch land with Ren and 6.
Yeah, Chad is talking about if that was a misplay by Aaron or not. And, that could have been a judgment call where Aaron wanted to give Ben the opportunity to kill the tracker because he already has so much value, and then that's kind of acting like a removal spell by making that play. So, I don't know. It, judgment calls
Yeah,
here.
I probably wouldn't have gone for it, but... So we're going to see a Fatal Push, targeting Arcbound Ravager. Sack Darksteel Citadel. Oh, and we're done here. Yeah, that was Sack Darksteel Citadel to grow the Ravager to 4/4. We were going to sack Ravager itself, move the counter to the Ballista, but we had a second Fatal Push, and that was nothing doing.
All the removals.
All the removals. And so we're going to go back to the sideboards. Maybe change some of those play draw decisions.
I feel like Rin and 6 looked really good there,
Yeah.
but that is maybe a bit of an anomaly for like how good the card is in the matchup. Or maybe I'm misjudging the card. But yeah, definitely if your opponent has a couple things out and you're playing a Rin and 6 on 2 to get back a fetch land.
It paired really well there with the cantripping lands and the shenanigans. That was a pretty cool way to see that line up. But overall, it was that ping in the early turn and that turn with the Ravager fight that I think it just set up a huge value swing so early in the game. And Hardened Skills is not a deck that does a lot of card advantage generation really in any way. Like, I have Canopy lands and I'm not sure a lot else.
Yeah, I feel like for card advantage in air quotes, they're using their artifacts that generate tokens, so you're getting more value out of each card that you play instead of actually drawing cards.
Yes.
And it is a great feeling when you're playing a deck like Jund or Jeskai or Burn when you set up the stack of like, I know I'm gonna get to kill this creature, my opponent's gonna waste like 2 cards, 3 cards on it, and
Yep. And they're gonna come out with nothing, and I'm gonna come out being able to reuse a bunch of those resources. It definitely swings the game, and I think that early turn was one of the first signs we saw of this game just never going to be going in the hard skills direction.
But I have always been surprised by the ability of Hardened Skills to have a couple good draws and then throw a bunch of counters on an Inkmoth and suddenly you're dead. Speaking of Inkmoth, I think I see 1 plus Hardened Skills.
Yeah, and I see the Evolutionary Leap, but this hand is, I believe, very full of land. Way too full of land, so we are going to go back. Looks like Aaron also not happy with his.
It feels
Aaron,
like
yeah.
if you were maybe playing against a blue-white style deck for Ben, you might have kept a hand like that, just being able to play your cards and getting the hardened scales out. But if you're playing against a deck that has so much spot removal, you need more of a you need creatures.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually if I'm about a hand like that
Huh.
against blue white because if you're facing down blue white, I'm not sure you want to be grinding there.
Hmm.
They're gonna set up inevitability on you if you can't pressure them pretty quickly.
I think it was four. Was it four lands, an evolutionary
Leap
leap, and a
and
hardened
hardened
scales?
scales, but you have nothing to get out of that hardened scales, and I don't want to be sitting there against blue white not putting any pressure on
Well,
them for the first several turns.
I might. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't play hardened
Yeah.
scales, but here's we've got ballista, two ink moths, another ballista, hangerback, ravager, and I think another Ravager. I like this hand, actually.
Hmm.
This is Hangerback Town. There's Ravagers. We're not seeing the Welding Jar. Oh, and
Oh,
here's the Ley Line.
there it is.
There it is. I don't know if you had them in the last game. It would be really canny not to bring them in,
Oh,
not show
definitely.
them, because then game 3, you're just modular is off the table, which in a double Ravager hand, it's more than a little relevant.
Yeah, either Aaron was like super next leveling or just ended up like getting pretty lucky draws there with the cards that were shown and hidden.
Yeah, I also, if you're Aaron in that last game and you understand that you're in this dominating board position and that you're running him out of resources, if you draw a ley line, you just tuck that away and you do not show it. You do not let him go get his
Mm.
claims for game 3. Um, and yeah, if you somehow end up in a position where you need it, then obviously you go for it. But I would just sandbag the crap out of that.
Oh
And
gosh.
now we're just going to see Ben get absolutely punished because he has no green source. He has a hardened scales. Hardened scales is really his only way to start moving counters around and generating that kind of advantage. Oh man, this ley line is an absolute beating.
I do think it is interesting also going back to mulliganing decisions to like in general, I'm a person that doesn't like to mulligan because I don't like going down cards, so I'll keep kind of questionable hands as long as I have lands. But with the new mulligan rules, feel like players are going to have to change how they've mulliganed. And that's something that, as a player, I'm definitely going to have to think about and work on because I've been making the same style of decisions for over a decade.
Yes. No, the London mulligan is incredibly skill testing. Not just in deciding when you need a mulligan, but how you need a mulligan. And I think it also requires a huge amount of understanding of your own deck's role. If you are a deck, you need to know if you're a deck that can go down cards, if you're a selection deck that's looking for specific spells and a specific hand texture, or if you're a deck that just needs a certain mass of resources. Because if you're a critical mass deck, you're gonna have to keep more questionable hands at higher card counts, even with a mulligan rule that's gonna make those mulligans less painful. And if you are more of a selection style deck, you actually want to mulligan much more aggressively because the odds of you being able to put together that hand you need are significantly higher.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that assessment. And after having played with it for a while, I think it's a really well balanced rule. And just the fear mongering was a little bit uncalled for at the beginning of like all the combo decks are going to have all their combo pieces, but then it's like, well, the answer decks are going to have their Thoughtseize or whatever. Um, yeah, it's great. Two thumbs up.
I love the London Mulligan. Yeah. All those patient mid range players just going, You can complain. You can complain. Or don't worry. Thoughtseize, Assassin's Trophy. We got this. It's fine. Um,
Oh, there's a Ghost Quarter to pair against those Inkmoth next Sai.
how many sideboard cards do we need? So we see Ghost Quarter, we see Grim Lavamancer, and Leyline.
And this
Um,
Hangerback Walker is not going to be doing
no.
much when you don't have a graveyard.
Yeah, after we were talking about how Hangerback Walker was going to be one of his best tools in this matchup, this is not looking good.
It's basically like Aaron has a humility out now
That
for all of Ben's creatures.
Ravager.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
uh,
Kolaghan's command, 2 damage, destroy. We're just gonna wipe your board here. Oh.
One of my favorite cards. I love that one.
Yeah, actually, so many moons ago, I was a Magic judge, and at the time, about half of the questions on the judge test, they would randomly generate from a pool of questions, and like half of the questions started with, "So you have your humility in play." Just
Layering.
all the layers, sub layers, an absolute onion of a judge test. We still have no green stars for the hardened scales. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I think that time has passed.
Been just thinking about, do I play out
It's like, I
there?
guess here's a metallic mimic, mostly as a 2/1, but we're finding other ways of generating counter advantage, kind of, given that we can't modular. Or not.
This is a little bit,
This is
I feel kind of
a little gross.
masochistic here watching this. I'm like, we could just turn it off.
I mean, I feel like masochistic means you can't look away. I'm more on the I have sympathy pains a little bit. The way these draws lined up are just not. There was nothing Ben could have done about this, and it's not his play or anything like that. It's just what a commanding hand from Aaron.
Yeah, and Ben's like at this point with that ley line out, Ben's deck isn't going to be able to beat like bears if all Aaron played was like 2/2 creatures.
It wouldn't matter.
Yeah. It looks like our producer spied another ley line hanging out in Aaron's hand.
Why not?
Why not?
You could run it out if you really thought Ben had claim, but
Yeah, that would require green mana.
that would require green mana. If Ben were going to cast a Nature's Claim, he's still not putting together. You don't care unless you're looking at a potential maybe lethal Ink Moth kill.
No, Welding Jar.
Welding Jar, he's here.
Did we see it? Was there a collector's oof in Aaron's sideboard?
There was one copy.
Okay, that's.
Do we need more?
We don't. But that would be an interesting bear to draw.
Oh, also I wouldn't cast the ley line. Never mind a fast Ink Moth kill. We have a Ghost Quarter. Though I guess we have a Welding Jar now, so it's more relevant.
And there is really no way for a fast infect kill with this ley line out.
Nope. I just mean if he had the claim to
right,
take the ley
correct.
line and potentially immediately get it done. But playing a lot of 1/1s for 2 is not how we get there.
That's a pretty bad draft strategy.
Yeah. I also appreciate Aaron not tagging these Ink Moths at any point. Because Ben not having green mana is incredibly relevant.
I think there is also an Assassin's Trophy hanging out in Aaron's hand that he's holding off casting for wanting to not give Ben the green mana, because that does seem like a way that Ben could maybe get back in the game.
Yeah. I mean, he would definitely be able to do something other than cast 1/1s. So we're going to get in here for 5. Getting that slow close, but yeah, no reason to run out anything more. Just play reactive. I'm going to clock you. You can't really effectively block my guys. I'll just hold interaction in case you do anything I care about.
Oh, it looks like Ben picked up an Ancient Stirrings.
Which you can't cast. Ugh, this is such a beating.
Okay, the upside is at least when Ben chump blocks, or if he double blocks the Scavenging Ooze, Aaron's not going to be able to keep Ben's creatures. Because they're not going to go to the graveyard.
What a non-bow.
Yeah.
What will we do? And we're going to pass it back. What are we even considering right now? I guess we're on end steps, so giving him a green mana now doesn't really hurt anything, but I'm not sure there's anything worth targeting with the trophy.
Also, do you like Aaron's choice of art for the Grim Lavamancer?
Oh yeah.
Love that OG art.
Classic Torment Grim Lavamancer. That was my first block. That was the newest block when I started playing Magic was Odyssey block. I believe my first booster pack was a Torment pack.
Oh, yeah, I missed that one. I played in the Ice Ages, but I missed the Torments.
It was okay. It was okay. I have a lot of fondness for cards from that set, but the set itself, I don't know.
Oh,
Fools. Oh,
cold shot,
oh
cold shot.
no. Oh. Bloodbraid Elf.
Do you want to use that welding jar now, Ben?
Savage beatings.
No, I do.
Oh.
At least use the welding jar to regenerate your Hangerback Walker before Oof comes into play.
This is awful. Hangerback Walker doesn't even make Thopters. Or when it dies. This is so bad.
Yeah, Ben's doing it for the fans right now.
We appreciate you, Ben. Math is for blockers, Aaron.
There goes some more permanents.
He's got no board. What round are we on? This is round 3. We have 5 minutes left in round 3. We've got one more to show you after this. Oh. Okay. Took a lot of endurance, Ben, to face down, I don't know, 16 different sideboard cards. Every answer. Yep, Aaron mentioning to his opponent that he was thinking very hard about keeping him off green mana.
Wow, well that was
a match.
That it was. And we only have about 4.5 minutes left.
Yeah, so we have 4.5 minutes left here, so we're not going to dig up another match just yet.
But do we have something cool? I think we might have something cool coming up.
Text me.
All right, here we go. We're going to bring you the flavor of the week. We were talking earlier, someone wanted to talk about boggles, and we're going to talk to you about boggles. We're going to talk to you about one slippery boggle boy. Actually, we're specifically going to look at the UMA slippery boggles. Though, yes, let's do this. Ogle the boggle, or goggle the boggle, doesn't matter. You weren't going to catch it anyway.
You can't grab them. They're slippery.
You can't grab them. They are slippery. Honestly, the flavor text on all of these slippery boggles, pretty good. The Eventide that we just saw, boggles are very tasty if you can get the skin off. It's getting the blade on them that's the problem. That tongue is really freaking me out a little bit. If anyone in chat can clarify what the heck a boggle is, I mean, other than a beast.
Beast that's using that term, with a lot of imagination.
That's a liberal use of the term beast.
Kind of looks like an avocado seed to me, but then it does the thing kind of that avocado seeds do, where you might your knife is gonna slip and then you'll stab yourself in the hand when you try to get it.
That's the real. Well, it's slippery. Avocado seeds are very slippery. You can't get the knife on them. Flavor text says just as much.
Yeah.
I think we've discovered what a slippery boggle actually it is. It's not a beast, but an avocado seed.
There we go. Mystery solved.
We did it, guys.
I think boggles might be coming back, Format's slowing down a little bit, suiting up one of those guys.
I keep saying this to people. I think Leyline of Sanctity is secretly great, and I think I've seen Boggles lists play that card quite a bit.
Yeah, main deck Leyline.
Main deck Leyline of Sanctity. I think it's good. I think Thoughtseize is coming up. I think Burn is gonna just hang around checking people. I think there's something real to. I'm saying there is something real to Boggles.
I would play Boggles if someone brought Boggles to a Modern event and let me play it, because I've never done that, but I've gotten Boggled a lot, and it's usually right at the end of the event for my winning in, and then I'll sit across the table playing some kind of deck with lightning bolts in it, and my opponent's turn 1, foil Temple Garden, tap it, foil Slippery Boggle, and it's just sign the slip.
That one just slips away from you right away. Just slide that slip right over.
Have a hard time grabbing the pen.
Just keeps getting away from you. Oh yeah, the one thing I guess I worry about Boggles in the current meta is Liliana. Liliana will punish you, but I don't know. I'm not a
Not if you
Boggles enthusiast. I
play
don't know
Leyline
what
of Sanctity.
Oh my god, it really does it all.
Yeah.
White ley lines, guys. Don't sleep on them. I'm not joking.
That's our flavor of the week plus hot financial tips for
Sorry.
your Magic investing.
Sorry.
No,
Kind
that's
of
great.
drifted away
Oh,
from the
it's
flavor.
a thing that Ian and I talk about a lot, and it's important because we all like playing Magic on a budget. And with that said, we are gonna take a break here. We got 47 seconds left in the round, and I'm gonna go get a glass of water, and we'll return in a couple of minutes for our final round of Modern Mondays.